A Musical Story is a rhythm action game set in the 1970s where you play as a band going on a journey across the states to get to their end destination, which I think is to perform in like this massive gig festival. And along the way, each song or chapter that you play is a stepping stone on their story. Essentially though, it kind of starts at the end and works its way back because you open up with your lead character like concussed in the hospital, and so it kind of reverses back to tell you the story of how you get there, and then it kind of resumes the story about the 3/4 way mark to then take you to the end, to whether or not you're going to have like a good or bad ending depending on how you've done. The game itself is really striking visually, and it feels like an interactive cartoon in many ways, shapes and forms. The game takes place on this largely circular pattern, and that allows you to focus in on the great visuals and still see the rhythm elements going on around you, whereas most rhythm action games try to put you off almost by putting really striking visuals in the game that kind of make your eyes want to go everywhere. This is much more focused and friendly. The rhythm action part of the game is in call and response, similar to, say, Parappa the Rapper, where you'd get a line delivered to you and then you need to replay it or retell it back. Each song, and there's a variety of different genres covering the 1970s psychedelia rock phase, from acoustic and hippie vibes to like full-on like sassy synth rock. Each of the songs are built up layer upon layer, so they don't necessarily have verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Some of them are quite short, like 90 seconds, some of them go on for 4 minutes. And this call and response basically introduces a new instrument for you to then replay back, and then it's like it's into the mix. Reminding me a little bit of when I was playing like loop filters on Fruity Loops and things like that, rather than actual like fully formed verse, chorus song structures. So you might start off like doing a doonch, doonch on a drum loop, and then you'll be expected to play it. And the way how you can spot that is this visual going around the outside of the circular frame, and the controls are quite unique for a musical story. So as you can see there, it reminds me a little bit of Taiko no Tatsujin's drums, to be fair. So you've got like a one colour to a circle, which means you tap the left shoulder buttons. Another circle's colour would be the right, and then if you've got both together then it would be like pressing both together, and you've got a press and hold, and you've also got like a press and like repeatedly press as well. And that's all that there is to it. You just need to make sure that you hit the right button at the right time and hold it for the right length. Passing a song is actually relatively easy because you can make mistakes, and eventually, so long as you get that full phrase perfectly right eventually, you can then continue on. However, that will only get you towards the kind of standard ending. If you want to see the final chapter, chapter 26, and get like the true ending, what you'll need to do is perfect each song, which means that you get every single phrase right first time. And the trick with this is that once you've seen the loop go round, the second time it comes around for you to play it, you're not given a visual representation of where you are on that circle. So you really have to think about exact timing and phrasing. So as anyone I think that plays drums or does percussion stuff, having a foot tap going whilst you play this game, recommended. You've got a metronome handy, musicians, that will work too, because it will take away the visual cues for you if you're ever chasing a perfect or wanting to get through. I think that will be quite frustrating for some people, but it does bring back that full, this is a real rhythm action game to the nth degree, because you aren't relying on visual cues, it really is timing of the mind and keeping that time yourself. That being said, it needs to be called out that a musical story is wildly inconsistent with how fair or strict it wants to be on your button presses. Sometimes it will be very, very strict and will need something like exactly dead on centre of the phrase. Other times you can play something completely early and it doesn't even visually trigger on the bubble or late, and that's totally fine. And there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason as to why something is really strict or very loose in the way how you press things. And that was my main frustration taking away from this game, because sometimes I felt like I was hitting something dead on, or I was getting it right visually and it was still going, nope, failed, and I couldn't really understand why. And when I was going for the perfect runs, that just made my blood boil. Alongside that, because there's a lack of real theme or catchiness to most of the music here, yes, it's nice and yes, it matches well with the excellent imagery, it doesn't necessarily pull you through by being like, I want to replay this song 20 times so that I get it perfect, because there is no big huge hook anywhere that some of the best rhythm action games of all time are able to pull off time and time and time again. So this is a tentative recommendation for those of you that love rhythm action games, but it's for those of you who can deal with timing in your head rather than watching a visual cue and pressing buttons to it. You need to be musically or timing based internally in your own body to be able to appreciate this style of game, which I like the fact that it does that. Written review over on higherplayinggames.com. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. Cheers. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.